By the superstorm, there's flooding up and down the East Coast. In New Jersey, Atlantic City is being beaten by the waves. New York's airports are closed. Thousands of flights have been cancelled, causing chaos for travellers.
Y ganyan Hurricane Sandy, and Olaf Dawkins is stjorn of Agarin by Yiddish How.
Richard.
Hello.
I'm Roddy.
Shake hands. Hands full.
Far to go,
Nice to
Lewis.
see
Welcome
you.
to Lewis.
Thank you. Yes, well, I came back earlier. I came back because of the hurricane.
Right, well,
I was afraid of being stranded.
I had
to make it here.
I had a slight frisson on Monday morning when I woke up and listened to the Today
Well, no,
programme.
if I had stayed for my original plane, I'd be there still.
Really?
Yeah.
I just took assurance that you were in Portland and miles away from it.
Oh no, I was in kind of halfway between New York and Boston at the end.
I de move flein an Durmach Davy Roppeston, a was kutjach geblien ek ineesh.
I met Richard on the way in, so...
Bín Durmach Roppestanach at shechat oret was Kalak Yidach a neu wechken Dawkins.
See you later.
I'll see you later.
Atsa han tolov a deilige gefötnich die lucht meach ek I forstahar. Ha muntje stjorne wij getjallasach ga eeuw.
What's mentioned in the Anlanter brochure, a quote from Dawkins where he says, "I am against religion because it teaches us to be satisfied with not understanding the world." Now, if that were true, I would agree with him completely. But I think he's setting up a straw man, or at least, maybe that's not fair to him, he's setting up a partially true caricature where some people will say, I just believe it. But there are atheists like that too. There are people of all different views who just, that's what they like, that's what they feel, that's what they are emotionally. My job, as I've said already, is to encourage people to think whatever their emotions, whatever their background. So I want to encourage Christians to start thinking about their faith. I think the other thing is that people are looking for something. The certainties of modernism, as I would call it, have gone, and they are looking for something. And they're not going to just come straight into a church and join the church of their fathers or whatever, if there was such a thing. So it takes a long time to build up connections. We provide community, we provide teaching, we provide spirituality, if you like, practical help. So what's not to like? I believe that every single human being lives by a combination of faith and reason. So for example, I don't know how a plane works. I hate flying actually, but I got on the plane from Glasgow to come to Stornoway. I have faith that the pilot is not drunk. I don't know that, I can't prove it. I have faith that there's fuel in it, you know, and so on. I think all of us in our lives operate on that basis. For me, the faith aspect of my life is simply this. I'm limited in what I can know. I'm limited in my capacities. My faith mustn't be placed in something that is completely irrational, unreasonable, and for which I have no evidence. But neither should I insist that I have to be able to prove everything before I believe it.
Ounsen eistioch han Olaf Dawkins. Agus ha minigu ille ekkesen is gersonnerein en Durmach Roppestanach en Turris in de vlein.
When you say you boarded the plane with faith in the pilots, I'm delighted to say, by the way, they were both women pilots. When you said that you had faith that there were good pilots and that the plane would work and so on, that's not faith. That's belief based upon the evidence which you've gained in a lifetime of experience with planes and with knowledge of the fact that planes are built by good engineers to scientific principles. You don't need to call that faith. You only need to invoke faith when there isn't evidence. When you say, there's no evidence, I just believe it because I believe it because I believe it. If there's evidence to believe it, then why would you bother with faith?
I think the
that what you describe as belief on evidence is what the Bible calls faith. I think your definition of faith is not one that any Christian theologian would recognize, and I don't think it's there in the Bible. And I think when someone says, I believe because I believe, because I believe, because I believe, we all end up in trouble. So I think you and I are agreed on that. Where we would disagree is you don't think that I have the evidence to believe in Jesus Christ. And I would disagree. I would say a lifetime of experience, more or less now, and a lifetime of study has convinced me of that more than ever. But I think as human beings we have capacity to think. What I appreciate about your books, I don't appreciate... I do appreciate the emotive tone. But what I appreciate about your books is the ability that you have to provoke people to think, because I regard that as being my job as well. I think that as we go on and explore the possibilities and look at things, that it makes much more sense to believe, not in gods in general, but to believe in, I would say, the God of the Bible. So I agree with your definition of belief, but I think that's the biblical definition of faith.